Tuesday night, KHOP88 is on the air. Hey, Marnie. Marnie is on lockdown again in Northern California.
Yes.
How's that? Hey, Tuesday night.
Oh, I can hear the feedback.
Oh dear, that's probably me.
Turn it off. Jason, you're in charge of Facebook.
Okay.
So I am here in Northern California. We are on our second lockdown, and it is just depressing for me to be on lock. We went on lockdown on March 16th, and we started again today. The beaches are closed, and we're in such a drought, all of you. We can't even light a fire in the fireplace. So I'm happy to be here with our amazing guests. Amy.
Right.
Oh, you can. Hi, Amy. Hi, Diana. Welcome to KHOP88 Live.
Woo!
We were doing some reminiscing off air, as they say, and talking about choir and when the last time it was that people sang. And we have picked up on these themes throughout the series at this point. And music is a big deal. And we learned that Diana was in a band with Aaron Larson, but we didn't get to learning the name of the band.
Our band was called Passage, and we were active between about 95 and maybe 99, roughly.
What was the biggest gig that Passage had?
So the biggest gig we were like this weird kind of chamber rock sort of thing. So nobody could figure out what we were, and sometimes we couldn't figure out what we were, but we had this really weird instrumentation. We had a couple of acoustic guitars, we had a drum kit, we had a hammered dulcimer, which, a lot of popular bands do not have hammered dulcimer.
No.
But we wrote and Aaron wrote all the lyrics for our band, which was really cool. So we opened for a number of different, sort of national acts, but the biggest show we did was we opened for John Cale of the Velvet Underground in 98 maybe, at First Avenue, and that was a real thrill for me. So
that is so cool. Yeah, First Avenue, right, is the benchmark.
It is. Yeah,
First
for
Avenue.
sure. Yeah.
That's very cool. Amy, no rock band for you.
No. The voice somewhat retired after high school. I sang at a couple of weddings for friends and my brother, and sang at my dad's funeral. But after that, it's karaoke if I do anything, and that's even sparse, especially with COVID.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to press a little further, because do you sing in the shower, in the car? I mean, come on.
I'll sing in the shower, but unless it wakes up my husband, because I wake up before him, and I'll sing in the car too. I drive the kids crazy when we go on car trips, for sure.
And so what kind of music do you put on and sing to?
Oh, anything that drives them nuts. I love the 80s music, of course. My husband likes the 60s, so I've learned a lot of 60s music. And they usually just put on the headphones and tune out and roll their eyes a lot.
So Amy, I have to ask though, when we're talking about singing in the shower, one of the things that I find is seared irretrievably into my brain are those 42 Italian songs and arias that we used to sing in choir. Yeah. So I'll be in the showers, just kind of, soaping up, and here I am singing like Caro mio ben or something like that. I'm like, why? There's so many other songs I could be singing, but why am I going back to the 42 Italian arias and songs from high school? Why? But there they are.
Was this something that the Hopkins High School choir performed, or
we did? We took a lot of those. A lot of the kids took those to the state competitions. So we worked on those individually. There were some that we did as warm-ups and kind of stuff in choir as well. But yeah, we are really well versed in those.
Many mumbling mice.
Oh gosh. That's a flashback right there.
What are many mumbling mice?
Oh, it's a warm-up. Many mumbling mice making
midnight music in the moonlight.
That's it. And then you go up the scale and you keep singing it until you can't.
It's really just to kind of get things loosened up and the voice warmed up. But yeah. All those silly things we did in choir.
Oh yeah.
My sister was in choir. She was a sophomore when we were seniors. And I remember attending a massive concert at the Ridgedale Mall, I want to say. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah, it does, actually. I think I have, and I wish I could find them, but I know I had pictures. I had my mom take pictures at that concert.
Yeah. And it was all like, it was the full choir treatment, the madrigals.
Madrigals
Yep.
were there. Yeah.
Yep, that was a big deal.
What's a madrigal? Was that a certain group?
Yeah. That was, I don't know how I wasn't in it. It was probably about what, 24 people?
Roughly, I think, yeah, that sounds about right. I know Erin was in madrigals for a while.
And they did a bunch of like Christmas. They were really popular, and they do things at Christmas, go hither and yon.
Yeah.
And do singing. So.
Did the choir take a trip of any sort when you guys were in it?
No, but I heard that the choir the next year got to go to Radio City Music Hall, and I'm still bitter.
That's right. We got ripped off.
Yeah, my sister sang in the Hopkins High School choir, so it must have been after you guys we graduated. They sang the national anthem at like a Mets game.
We sang
and
the
went to
national
Radio
anthem
City.
at a soccer game. I can't. Was it they weren't the Kicks. I don't remember what the soccer team was back in '88, but we got to sing the national anthem there.
Not nice, but the New York trip is just a
little anticlimactic.
Bloomington versus New York. Do you guys have any other memories from choir? It seems like, so we covered this very early. Diana, you said you started life at high school as a band nerd, which is what I was as well. Band was a whole journey, but choir had to have been a journey as well too. Do you remember anything that was really crazy that happened or weird or fun?
Gosh,
I don't know about crazy.
I don't know about crazy or weird, but that was sort of like, I started off in band. I'd been all through junior high as an oboe player. And I was very used to being like the only, in the small towns that I'd been in, I was the only oboe player. And who the heck chooses an oboe? But, I got here and I loved it. I got here and all of a sudden there were all these oboe players. And I'm like, wait, what? This is really competitive. And I really like singing. So maybe I need to, change tracks here. So no, I had a wonderful experience in choir. It was great. I can remember it was a great confidence booster for me. I was very introverted in high school. And I remember one year, and I can't, maybe Amy, you'd remember, but I remember one year we did excerpts from Handel's Messiah in choir. And they were doing specific auditions for particular solos within that body of work. And I'd grown up with a mom who was a choral director who sang "O Thou That Tellest Good Tidings to Zion" every Christmas at every church we'd ever been to. So I knew that song in and out. And when the choir director said that they were going to audition for that part, I was like, "Do I dare? Should I do it? Should I not do it? I don't know. I just don't know if I can do this." And there were a couple other girls, and I can't remember off the top of my head who they were, but they were like, "I'm going to nail this solo. I'm going to bring it, and you all are going to bow to me." We got in there, and they had not prepped at all. And the accompaniment is going on, and I just like, "All right, I'm singing," blasted through it. And the director looked at me and he said, "Well, I guess that's your solo." And I went, "What? Oh, now I have to perform that in front of people." Oh. So that was fun. That was probably my highlight from choir was not passing out while I sang that song on stage.
That's a total gut check. I mean, like, you think about these things that kids do solo that are like that. Like my kid, I remember, was when he was in like 6th grade, was in the spelling bee. And that was just like, oh my God, he's standing up in front of the whole school spelling words. Like, totally. What an amazing thing. But, and certainly there were solos in band.
Yeah.
But my God, to be singing something like that is a lot and maybe when you're 15, 16, 17 or whatever, you're too dumb to know.
No.
But it sounded like
no. I was terrified.
Oh, yeah.
Terrified. And in fact, that never actually went away from me, even being in a band, being on stage. I never, not to compare myself to Streisand, but Streisand will tell stories about how she still has like extreme stage fright whenever she performs.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's also in a band not that long ago. And I said, I would be so great in a band if I could be in a completely different room than the audience, facing away from the front of the stage. I'd nail it.
Right.
As it is, I have to take off my shoes so I don't like break an ankle and, do that kind of
They
stuff.
don't usually let you do that. Yeah, it's sort of a performative aspect of that.
Yeah, it's sort of a requirement in most instances, yes.
Yeah. So the other thing we talked about with respect to choir were the heartograms. Amy, you were talking about that a little bit. That was, so getting a heartogram was sort of a two-sided coin. It was like thrilling because you thought like, oh, maybe some girl was sending me a heartogram because she likes me. But it was also sort of humiliating and embarrassing. What was it like to be on the giving, like, what was it like to be doling out the heartograms during Valentine's week?
It was fun. It was fun. I mean, we got out of class first, so we didn't have to go to classes that day. That was a plus. But it was just fun to see the people's reaction. And then you just get to go in front of the class and sing to the person and make them all red from embarrassment and all that. I mean, we'd give some freebies to certain, people if we were like, oh, let's go embarrass this person. If we had time in between songs, we'd do that too. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoy making people smile, and that was just kind of went along with the whole thing.
So I saw in the yearbook you were wearing costumes. I never received one of these heartograms. Did you have a heart costume? Can you explain for those of us like me with bad memories? This was like for Valentine's Day, was it like Winter Games week or something?
It was during, I think, was it over the Winter Games? It was definitely a Valentine's Day thing.
Yes.
And each quartet would dress up the same in whatever attire they chose to do. I think we had hearts on our t-shirts, and I can't remember what else in the yearbook. I didn't look at the yearbook, but yeah, and then we just stormed the classroom and sang to whoever. It was fun.
The photograph in the yearbook is you and Megan Blonigan and Deidre Schmidt singing to the English teacher Roman Borgetting.
Borgetting.
Remember that?
I loved him. He was
my favorite teacher.
Oh,
yeah, really? Your favorite?
He was my favorite.
We've gotten a couple of shout outs for Mr. Borgetting. What did you, we're going to get back to heartograms here, but what did you like about him?
So what I loved about him is that he was just kind of, he pushed people. He really was a pushy dude. He wanted you to do well, and he was really demanding that you do your best. And I had him for poetry, and I think that probably was my favorite class in all of high school. I just felt like I learned so much from him. He kept pushing me. We'd go through revisions. He would sit down and he would read things really thoughtfully, and he'd be like, tell me why this occurs to you this way, and really forced you to kind of do that critical thinking that, I don't know, maybe a lot of high school kids don't. They're like, I'm writing angsty poetry. This will be a lyric in my future band. And, it really was very, I just felt like I got a lot out of that class. And I remember one time I wrote a poem, and I probably still have it somewhere. And he had given me, I think he'd given me a B on it. And I was like, okay, well, that from Roman Borgetting that's a decent grade. I can live with that. But I wanted to ask him a question about it. So I waited till, we had this open period in class, and I went up and I just said, hey, can I talk to you about whatever it was? He'd written a note on it or something. And we sat down, and he's like, I'm going to read this again. And I just sat there really uncomfortably while he went through the whole poem again. And he's like, what was I thinking? And he rips out his red pen and he scrawls on it. And I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? And he goes, it was better the second time reading. And he handed it back to me and giving me an A. And I'm like, that is so not how I thought that was going to go. I thought he was going to be like, was I smoking that day? That's a terrible poem. F, hello. But no, it was, I know a lot of people had really strong feelings about him one way or the other sometimes, but he really, in my mind, is one of my very favorite teachers ever.
Yeah, I remember the first day I had him for English. I didn't have him for poetry, but he made us break out the dictionary the first day, and he said, "Start reading." And we're like, "What? You want us to read the dictionary?" He's like, "I've read it." You know, he's like, "Why can't you guys read it? You know, you'll get a lot of it." And so we read the dictionary for the first. And then I think I remember him trying to tell Tom Koppel that he didn't pronounce his name correctly.
His own name, right?
When he took attendance, he's like, "No, it's Popo." And he's like, "No, it's not." And he's like, I beg to differ with you. And we was arguing with him about that the first day.
I do recall this thing of Borgetting because I had him for one class. I think it was a composition class, and of the totally uncomfortable situation of you sitting there with him alone.
Mm-hmm.
And him reading something that you wrote, and you just had to kind of sit there and like cool your heels while he was doing that and raising his eyebrows and you know, marking stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, go. What were you going to say, Marnie?
I've saved some of the essays I wrote for him. I'm not a hoarder, but like I have a file of Borgetting submitted essays with like his grades and comments.
He just like, he could see right through you. Like, because
you
know, I was all about putting stuff off to the last second. So I'm sure that I wrote stuff for his class in the library right before the class. And he would just, you know, he would know, you know. That's Amy, do you have a teacher that sticks out from your high school experience?
High school, I want to say, well, I really like the art department. Mel Jacobson is one of my all-time favorites. I had him in junior high as well. I took him, I had pottery with him. I took calligraphy from him, I think, and just art in general. And Mr. Nordley choir.
Yeah,
definitely.
I just really enjoyed both of them immensely.
Because you guys both have older kids and teenagers and stuff, we got into this a little bit last week. Do you compare your children's school experience with your own from Hopkins?
I desperately try not to.
They're not,
because you don't think it'll measure up, or you think it's
my kids are doing much better than me. I think. I mean, my oldest, he goes to the U of M Morris, and he graduated with a 9.95 GPA from high school. That's A, right? I think, yeah. I mean, he had an A average. He's got an A average in college. He's going to be in computer science. He remembers everything you tell him, which I have to be very careful about when I talk to him, so I don't say something I'm going to regret later. And my youngest, I'm proud as punch. He's doing well in high school. He started his freshman year this year, and he's doing well. I try not to compare them to each other. And my oldest doesn't want anything to do with art and doesn't sing. That's totally fine. And my youngest, he's in choir. He's trying the choir experience. So they have a chance to go to Hawaii, COVID allowing in June. But he's enjoying himself that way, but he's not really into art either. But you know, I really, really try not to compare. It's not fair.
Right. But no, I mean, like when you talk to their teachers, or you navigate the class registration, that's what I always used to do. Well, because when we talked to Laura Etnier last week, she said, you know, our teachers really invested in us and believed in us at Hopkins, and they were really good. And I kept waiting for that level of engagement from my son's teachers throughout high school, and I never saw it. Like, I don't think he has a Roman Borgetting from his high school experience.
Yeah, I'm going to agree to a certain point on that one. My youngest is autistic, and his teachers are very invested in him. Sure. And I hear from them all the time, and that's great. My oldest, he was kind of a loner. His teachers really respected him. I went to conferences once and they're just like, what can I tell you? He's a kid, he helps other kids.
Right.
And he's a great student. I don't have any problems, and so it's just like, I don't know how invested they were. They just knew that he was doing okay. And that was that,
Mm-hmm.
So.
And so my kids have had a little bit different experience between the two of them. So my son graduated from here in Pepin. So he had a graduating class of 12 kids.
Youch.
So it was pretty tiny, and everybody, I mean, these are the same friends he had in pre-K. He had all the way through graduation, and he still has. My daughter decided when she was going to be starting her junior year that she really wanted to pursue art more fully. And that really wasn't possible in Wisconsin with the politics we had going on here and lack of funding for the arts. So she's actually finishing out her senior year. So she started junior year and is now finishing her senior year at the St. Paul Conservatory.
Wow.
And she's right now in the middle of, the college application frenzy, and she intends to go on and become a major in vocal performance. So
Nice.
It's been very interesting to watch her kind of be able to take that more concentrated vocal track that I probably would have loved to have done. It just wasn't available to me in high school. So there's probably a little tinge of mom jealousy there, but but she's amazing. And she wants to be with the Metropolitan Opera. And I have no doubt that if she puts her mind to it, she'll do it.
Wow. So does she, I mean, obviously everything's crazy now. Did she live away from home at any point?
So she's been living, so the conservatory is in downtown St. Paul, and there's an apartment building that's actually like attached to the same complex that the school is in. And so she's been basically living up there. I've been living part-time up there with her as I've been able to, and for work, situations, but she's pretty much been living there and attending school, kind of like a, informal room and board sort of situation.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, and she's been doing great.
Wow.
What a great opportunity. I join you in being envious of that, but also in understanding that there is no way 17-year-old me could have handled any of that. Some of it.
Kind of flamed out probably about 2 months in, and that would have been that. So, but she's very dedicated. This is the kid that told me, I took her to New York for her birthday the first time when she was 8. And she told me, I think within about 4 hours of being there, she's like, Manhattan, I'm going to live here. And I thought, yeah. I can barely navigate the subway system here. And you're just, okay, all right. Knock yourself out.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll check in with our Facebook audience here. We've had our regulars, joining us. Chad Alt, of course, weighed in.
Hey, Chad.
Chad Alt is familiar with your daughter's voice. He said, Diana, your daughter is a beautiful soul and such a wonderful voice. That's very nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Stephanie Brown is also here. Chris Bjork. Karen Koski Hintermeister says hello.
Hello.
Chris Camp Glazer also says hi, Amy and Diane.
Hello.
Great to see you both. Heather Thorson also says hi. Kate Stelmach. Kate, we always have to remind people that's Kathy Cheetah.
And Kathy Cheetah, Kate Stelmach needs to book her date.
Yes, we have to book a date for you, Kate. Yeah, what do you guys have a particular memory about? We talked about this. You were friends in high school, obviously both in choir together, but you've stayed in touch a little bit, but you haven't hung out together.
So Amy, unfortunately, has the dubious honor of having been my very first friend when I moved to Hopkins in 1984, and I started ninth grade at North Junior High. So Amy and I bonded over Duran Duran. Let's be honest.
And you got me into Paul Young and Nick Kershaw.
That's true. That is true. I hope you don't forget that. But no, we just, that picture, Amy posted a picture recently of me in science class in ninth grade. And I remembered the haircut that I had in ninth grade, unfortunately. But the shirt I was wearing, I was like, what is that? What was I thinking? But that was the era when I had my hair very, I've done the short hair a few times now, but it was short on one side and longer on the other. And I was super into Prince, so it was permed on the one side, but not on the other. And my mom, she would perm my hair and she'd be like, I don't understand this hairstyle. I'm like, well, you wouldn't because you're a mom,
Of course.
But yes. So Amy and I have known each other a while. But yes, thank goodness for Facebook where we could reconnect.
Yes.
Amy, do you remember the first time you met Diana?
Yeah, I think it was in science class. You were at my table.
Probably
right?
was. Yeah,
Yep. And we bonded. I mean,
we did.
Where did you move from, Diana?
So I had moved directly from Thief River Falls, so extreme northern Minnesota, to Hopkins with my mom. Was as I said, she was a choral director. She was a music professor. She taught any level from kindergarten all the way up to the college level for many, many years. So she did a lot of moving from church to church, doing choral direction and being a lay assistant. So we moved a lot when I was a kid. So I had this very small town, cozy life in Thief River Falls. And she's like, well, we're moving again. And I'm like, where to now? And she's like, Minneapolis. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. So, but then I got here and I was like, oh my God, this is much bigger than Thief River Falls. So yeah, it was a little bit of a culture shock. And of course I remember, and I don't remember who the homeroom person was in 9th grade, but I can vividly remember it was me and one other person that were new to the school that year. And she's like, oh, let's say hi to our new students. And it was blah, blah, blah. And he moved here from Bloomington or Chicago or something like that. And then there's Diana, and she moved from, well, she's a small town girl. And I felt every eye just go right at me. And I'm like, thank you for just ruining the entirety of my high school career. Thank you. So we had city boy and country girl. And I'm like, and here I am, still today, country girl. What can I say?
That's fantastic. Yeah, these teachers don't even understand it, I don't think, when they just say something off the top of their head and you're like, I'll wear that for 4 years now. Those 3 words, yeah.
Exactly.
So
But Amy, you were not deterred by the country girl, so thank you for that.
of course.
Amy, you live in St. Louis Park now?
Yep.
That's where I was a little girl.
Oh yeah, my kids have gone through the St. Louis Park School District. I don't live that far from the old high school. I mean, 3 miles maybe by car. That's about it. But yeah, I just kind of stayed local my whole life. So that's okay.
That's very okay.
Totally.
Is there any place you would, if you could live anywhere for a year, no, all costs included, where would you go?
I love Wyoming. I really love Wyoming, the area near Estes Park. There's a town called Longmont. My husband has relatives there. It's just gorgeous. It's at the foot of the mountains and it's just beautiful. I'd go there, but other than that, I might consider going to like Sweden or Norway too, for all the fjords and greenery and Scandinavian food.
I'm with you on that. That's where I want to go after, when we can start traveling again and I can check some wish list items off as Sweden,
Really?
Norway. Yeah.
Well, one of the places, I'm not yet 50, I'll be 50 in May. And one of the places I wanted to celebrate my 50th birthday was with an epic Nordic ski trip in the Arctic Circle.
Oh, wow.
Wow. You know, you can go skiing without getting that cold.
That's extreme. That's extreme.
I don't know, it just sounded fun. The saunas and the reindeer. And
for sure.
Iceland and yeah.
I'm hoping that in 2021, I had a pretty epic trip scheduled for my 50th birthday this year in July. And it got canceled, unfortunately, because of COVID. But I was going to be spending a week in an all-inclusive resort in Greece, which I've never been to and I've always wanted to go to. So we had a beautiful place booked on Corfu, and I was really looking forward to it. And we hung on, with our fingernails to the very last minute, and it was like not going to happen. So we'll see. Maybe Greece 2021. maybe somewhere else. Who knows?
Well, actually, I'm planning on going to Greece in 2021, Diana and everyone, because my girlfriend was going to have, we were booked for a week in Greece for her 50th birthday in September of 2020. And so we
Mhm.
put it off until next
Yeah.
year. Maybe we'll see each other in Greece.
You never know.
Oh, the things we're all going to do. I was just thinking that I'm going to have a big party at my house, and I'm trying to figure out if I can set a date of some sort, because it's now seeming like there's going to be a time, like there will be a timeline, right, of us being able to
Right.
resume somewhat normal activities.
Mhm.
Maybe in the summertime, something like that.
Yeah.
Outdoors, though, still, right, in my backyard.
Yeah.
But but people will be able to get within 6 feet of each other at least.
That'd be nice. That would be nice.
Do you guys have any other things that you wanted to talk about, bases to cover that we didn't get to here? Maybe you've been thinking about high school a little bit the last week or two, or wondered whatever happened to so-and-so?
Gosh.
No, not really.
Good for you. You guys have more important things.
Better things to do than think about high school. Well, we are so grateful. Jason, everyone, do you want to hear about the amazing shows I booked that are almost as good as this one?
Of
Let me
course.
get my magic sheet up.
One of these weeks, Marnie,
Yeah.
you're going to get the sheet up before we start the show.
It's all part of the charm.
It's all part of the charm. We're not professionals.
Point well taken. I try not to dual screen because I have like these glasses that Rick Marker was making fun of, and you'd be like,
Right.
okie dokie. Next week we have Chris Bjork and Dave Herbst.
Ooh, okay.
Bjork is on the line. He's a regular. I don't think we've heard from Herbst yet
Not
during
yet.
this series. So
December 22nd, we booked Deborah Oleski Brill and Julie Hepner. Julie Hepner and I were in Borgetting's class together. December 29th is on hold for Lisa Stuppy, Casey Lunetta, and Jennifer Maracek.
Marasic.
January
Who was
5th.
in my homeroom. I remember that. I know.
Yeah, MAMA, yeah. You
That's
guys
right.
probably sat next to each other at graduation too.
Entirely possible.
January 5th, Troy Finn and Friend to be determined. January 12th, I'm holding for Catherine Jensen, who
Whoa.
was one of the co-editors of our yearbook. I can't wait.
No, newspaper. I'm pretty sure
sorry.
newspaper.
Newspaper.
Yeah.
And then January 19th, I have confirmed a magic trio of Denise Peterson Klosterman, Joy Geislinger, and Ms. Stacy Semler.
Very nice.
Marnie, you've done a bang up job on this. I'm interested to see who Troy Finn is going to bring on the show. Troy has joined us tonight. So Troy,
We're excited. And
Get
I'm
working.
also, we have a lead for my prom date to come on air, Todd Ames.
Wow. Okay.
that's right.
Very
From
nice.
parts unknown. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope your holiday preparations are going well and you're enjoying the season. And
So far, so good. Thanks for having me on. Amy, thanks for thinking of me.
Of course. Thanks for having us on.
yeah, very fun to catch up with you guys. Marnie, good luck in lockdown.
Oh, thanks. I'll be here next week.
Of course you will be.
Hopefully the week after
Yep.
that, something like that. So take care. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank
We'll
you.
see
You too.
everybody else next week.
Take care.